Like I said, man, if y'all coming with that dry energy tonight, this ain't the show for you. I need you calling a friend and saying, yo, you need to get on this show. Brothers is talking, they talk. On today's episode of the Uzziah Show, how can black men do better? We not all broke. We not all unemployed. We not all living at home with mama. We are getting better each and every day. Now, of course, there's always room for improvement.
I'm going to speak on what I, as a black man, did to become better.
Respect.
So that first thing is accountability. I think we lack that. You know what I mean? And not just accountability in the sense of the definition of the word, but accountability in the nature of it. You understand? Like, not just when things don't go the way we want them to go. I think oftentimes with us as men, when things don't go a certain way, because we have it so hard here, it becomes very easy to off-put things that you probably could have addressed and done better onto something else.
Right.
And I find that to be very consistent in a lot of different types of black men, whether it be education rich or all the way from the top tier brother to the low end brother. If there's a complaint, oftentimes is rooted in a disconnection of accountability of oneself. For me, I know that's something that I had to do, and it took a long time, to get to that point. But that's the number one thing I think we need to do better. My next thing, man, was identifying flaws and improving. I guess you could roll this off of accountability smoothly, because a lot of times, man, it be things wrong with us, and it's twofold. Either we fail to acknowledge those things that are issues with us, or we refuse to hear it from other people who's telling us that these are things wrong with us. Facts. Right? So oftentimes you got 45, 55, 65-year-old grown brothers who you'll tell them something they don't. You ever seen an old school cat, like an uncle or a cousin or somebody, in your family, somebody like that, and you'd be like, bro, you got like an anger problem.
Right. Absolutely.
Like, you really have an anger problem. Why are you that mad because we got caught at a red light? Like, why
yeah.
Punching the steering wheel? Like, bro, But to him, in his mind, he's operated this way in dysfunction for so long, he doesn't even identify that as an anger issue. It's more of a character trait to him. So you try to tell him, bro, that's a problem. And to him, and that's because of a failure to identify those flaws within himself. And obviously, the next part of that will be improving once you identify those flaws.
Right? With no further ado, I'm going to give y'all my take on the 5 most important things that black men can do to get better. The number one thing that black men need to do in order to do better is to man up, because the effeminization of the black man in America is real. A lot of us come from single parent households. Our fathers were nowhere around. And unfortunately, us being raised by our mothers has gotten us so into our feelings that it's disconnected us from the ways of the traditional man. We as men should not need another grown man to validate us or hold our hand in anything. We as black men should support each other. We as black men should be there for one another and be our brother's keeper. I'm not saying anything different, but what I'm saying is that we are in an age where we have to let go of being boys, and we have to grow ourselves into being a man. The scripture says, show thyself a man, and manhood begins with taking responsibility for your actions. We had our childhood to make decisions emotionally. We men now. We grown now. We're not boys no more. We grown men. We have to lead by logic and not emotions. And the reason why we have to lead by logic is because our community is looking for us to lead. When you look at every other community, the men are taking the lead. We're the only group of people where we take pride in how our women set the pace for the rest of the community to follow. That's out of order, black men. Some of this had to do with what we learned during the time of Willie Lynch, when roles got reversed. All right. But we got to come up out of that now that we're coming into this knowledge of who we are. And I know, brothers, some of y'all are out there saying, yeah, I hear you, Uzziah. Men got to step up, whoop-de-whoop. But a lot of these women don't want us to be men. A lot of these women don't want us to take the lead. Listen, I hear you. And I do know sometimes it's hard for us as a people. But I got a secret for you. Even at times when it seems like our women act like they don't want us to lead, they want us to lead. Because at their core, in their genetic makeup, they desire to be led by a man. They want to be led, however, by a man of strength. So for us as kings, we have to reclaim our position. We have to get back on the throne to set our community back in order. The number one pillar is for us to man up. And one of the best ways for us to man up is to get out of the victimhood Olympics. We've adopted this emotional mentality where we're always trying to compete with other people on who could be the biggest victim, who got it worse. We dwell on things as a community that is paralyzing to progress. The second thing that black men need to do better is less talk, more work. Men have always been praised for their ability to work hard. I think about all these different shows, and it's real life for some of y'all, where y'all had fathers that broke their back every single day to provide for the family, and that was the image of manhood that we understood. We've always been praised for our ability to make the necessary sacrifices to put food on the table for our household. But what's happening in 2021, in this modern day, we are flipping the script. We are now in a generation of men who want more credit for their words than they do their results. A woman's words has always been her strong suit. Men led by action. Y'all know I got to get to the book. This is Ecclesiasticus chapter 36 and verse 22. And the reason why I'm going into this is because if you've been watching the show, I've always talked about how one of the biggest problems is that we don't bring the Most High into our worldly affairs. We don't bring God into our worldly success. And that's the reason why we really ain't winning. So this is Ecclesiasticus chapter 36 and verse 22. It says, "The beauty of a woman cheereth the countenance, and a man loveth nothing better." Let's look at the next verse. "If there be kindness, meekness, and comfort in her tongue, then is not her husband like other men." This man that we're reading about was on a totally different level, all because his woman had such a grace through words. When you read in the scriptures, it was a woman's words that could heal or that could destroy. But now in this modern day, we as men want to get more credit for our words, but that's always been a woman's office. Women have always been praised for their femininity. We have always been praised for our work ethic. So let's stop talking and get out here and build something. Third way that we can get better, put your ego aside. So many of us are so prideful that we cannot be taught anything, or we're only willing to be taught by other communities because you've already accepted in your brain that it's okay for them to be your boss. Y'all don't hear me. You've already developed a complex in your mind that a brother can't show you nothing because you have a enemy type complex with looking at another black man as a leader. Some of our egos are so heavy, it stops our growth. You know, some of us as brothers, we need to be coached. Michael Jordan was coached. Floyd Mayweather was coached. You know, all of the greats were coached. But it's very hard for us to try to coach one another to greatness because we can't be told nothing. Y'all want to carry a swag like you're already there, even when you're not there. Like, dog, you ain't there yet. And I'm not saying it to hate on you, but sometimes as a parent, bro, you're not there. And you might have a brother that try to help you get there if he's there already or beyond. But some of us are filled with so much pride as a defense mechanism that we will sabotage ourselves from getting the right coaching because we don't feel comfortable unless we feel like we're on the same level as another black man or beyond. The fourth way that we could do better as black men is to stop getting caught up in so many distractions. We get caught up in social media, smartphones, chasing women, and we get caught up living in the prison of other people's opinions. These women ain't going nowhere. You need to focus on the grind. Every black man needs a bat cave to get where he's going. When you look at how Batman was able to shift gears to Bruce Wayne, he knew how to be successful in the public eye as a businessman, and he also knew how to overcome villains. But he didn't start off that way. He had to set up a bat cave. He had to train. He had to have Alfred. He had to have a process. A lot of y'all are out there trying to always be seen, and it takes away from the growth. Every black man needs a bat cave where you just get a window of time to work in silence and lock in. No phone, no social media, no partying. If you know that you're not where you want to be at right now, black man, you have to make the choice to do better. You have to make the choice to improve your situation. You can't rely on nobody else to do that but you. So build your back cave, take however long that you need to fully lock in so that when you get out of it, you have something to show for all of your work. The fifth thing is to have an abundance mindset. If we had this one thing alone, the black community would change overnight. And the craziest part about it is you don't have to pay anything in order to have an abundance mindset. That comes from within. You ain't got to go to nobody else. You ain't got to beg nobody. You ain't got to work for nobody. The only thing that you got to work on is yourself. The essence of the abundance mindset is let's help each other. Don't hurt each other.